Kojak deliberately marks himself a crooked cop in order to trap a wily narcotics dealer. Telly Savalas stars as Kojak, Wednesday night at 10, 9 Central Time, here on CBS.
Pork chops, lamb chops, baked potatoes, meatloaf, hamburgers, 2 tomatoes. Come on! Get a bucket of chicken. Ain't gonna make it good. Have a barrel of fun. Goodbye, hello.
Kids love my hot Kentucky Fried Chicken and fixin', so come on and break up that old dinner time routine.
America loves what the Colonel could. A big, making good time. Barrel of fun.
Men who work on their feet all day appreciate the comfort of Red Wing work shoes. They come in so many shapes and sizes, they're a perfect fit for most any pair of hard-working feet. The fact is, Red Wing work shoes are so comfortable that come 5 o'clock, some of our customers forget to take them off.
For real fit and comfort, come to the Red Wing shoe store nearest you. Check our listing in the white pages. Energy Crisis Special at 6.
CBS Television Sports welcomes you to Super Bowl VIII. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jack Whitaker speaking from Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas, where the Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings are about to play the 8th Super Bowl game to decide the professional championship of football. Here in Houston today, we have a temperature of 52 degrees, the humidity at 80%, and a fog has sprung up around the city. But conditions right now in this handsome stadium are good for the 71,882 people who have showed up. This game is a sellout. Down on the artificial turf now, both teams are taking their warm-ups. The Miami Dolphins, the defending champions, in an unprecedented third straight visit here to the Super Bowl. A big, confident, disciplined team, an armored tank hidden in blue and orange jerseys. Their opponents, the Vikings, visiting the Super Bowl for their second time. White jerseyed with purple trim, they're a potent mixture of offensive finesse and defensive power. Indeed, such are the attributes of these two ball clubs that most people think Super Bowl VIII might be the best of them all. The NFL Today presents Super Bowl VIII, sponsored by the VIII Goodrich Tire Company, makers of the Fixer. It's going to make the name Goodrich a lot easier to remember.
I'm Patrick Ross, president of the B.F. Goodrich Tire Company. No tire is really puncture-proof. Not really. Not ours, not anyone's. Something makes tires go flat. Something besides the axe blades and tire tortures you see on TV. That's why we invented a whole new kind of radial tire. We call it the Fixer. It's made with a unique expanding liner that's actually designed to seal most punctures in the tread up to 1/4 inch in diameter. This year, it seems like almost everybody's finally featuring radial tires. But nobody's making a tire like the Fixer. The Fixer, the first steel radial tire designed to fix itself, and the most advanced steel radial B.F. Goodrich has ever made. Not Goodyear, Goodrich. It's going to make our name a lot easier to remember.
The golden lifesaver from Goodrich. We call it the Fixer.
Hall of Fame, our alma mater.
You know, before a really big game, I like to come down here and meditate. Get myself into the proper mood. You just gotta be the best if you intend to make the Hall of Fame. In the fabulous Hall of Fame, every name you see here has answered the call of fame. Here on the walls are the records, here for the whole world to see.
Oh, hi, Sonny.
This is my great-grandfather, N. Credible. He invented the fumble. How did you do it, great-grandfather?
Clean living, Sonny.
Good like it is, Creddy.
No drinking.
Right.
No smoking.
Right.
And when you're in training, don't fool around with the ladies.
Right.
You footballs out there listening to me, don't mess around while you're in training. You'll get shin splints.
Right.
Lose your breath.
Right.
Fall down.
Right. H football historically is a champ. Back to the days of Walter Camp. Here on the walls are the records. Here for the whole world to see. Hey, what's kicking, Freddie? And this is my uncle, Eddie Ball. Jim Thorpe once drop-kicked him 75 yards for a field goal. Yep, won the game, too. Never forget it. Really got a boot out, old Jim. Heck of a drop kicker, that boy. Thanks, Eddie. You can have your I formation, T formation, single wing, and the wishbone. What this game really needs is a drop kick. Bring back the drop kick. Need a football named Fursky, slightly squashed by Bronco Nagurski. Here's old Timothy still fit as a fiddle. Set those records with Y.A. Tittle. And with no artificial turf either. What happened to the grass? Bring back the grass. Bring back real mud. And what about the flying wedge?
The water boy.
In the fabulous Hall of Fame, every name. The walls are the records, here for the whole world to see. The records belong to them, but football belongs to you. It's Steve Owen. And this is my great-uncle Ball Moose. He was once kicked up San Juan Hill. Charge! Crazy Legs and McElhaney really went to town. And how about 32, our movie star Jim Brown? If it's records you want, we got 'em, etc. ad infinitum. Papa Hallis, say what a man. They made it gel, the immortal Lombardi and our Burt Bell. Here on the world are the records, here for the whole world to see. The records belong to them, but football belongs to you and me. Yes, I really get inspired visiting all these famous footballs, players, and of course the coaches. Making the Hall of Fame is not easy for a coach. The percentages are all against him.
Percentages.
You've gotta play percentages.
15% of passes tried.
Or wind up on the other side. And when the whole world's against you, who's your only friend? The center. When you're kicked for a field goal and you hit the crossbars, who cradles you in his forgiving arms? The center. And when the quarterback keeps repeating, hut, 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 and you realize you're in trouble because he's got the hiccups, who can you turn to? Right. Yes, sir, we're two against the world. Two against the world. Two against the world, my buddy and me. The football field of life may be sunny
Or snowy or muddy.
but no one can come between me and my buddy, 'cause we're two against the world. Actually, everybody connected with the game is important. The owners, the band, cheerleaders, they all deserve to be here in the Hall of Fame. But those who deserve to be here most are you, the football fans.
When they invented football, things have never been the same. If you could only persuade your wife to let you spend the rest of your life watching the football game.
And here in this empty frame, well, who knows? One day, You just might see old Freddie up there in the fabulous Hall of Fame. Every man you see here has answered the call of fame. Here on the walls are the records.
Okay, Freddie.
Here for the whole world to see. The records belong to them, but football belongs to you and me. We're radio tires and we're here to
Our new radio tire versus this Sherman tank in a test of strength.
I've got just one word for 1974. Radials.
Funny, isn't it? All of a sudden, everybody's introducing radial tires. A tire B.F. Goodrich has been making for 9 years. But this year, we've invented a whole new kind of radial we call the Fixer. It's lined with a unique expanding sealer that's actually designed to fix most punctures in the tread up to 1/4 inch in diameter. After all, no matter how tough tires look on TV, in real life, people still get flats. The Fixer. The first radial tire designed to fix itself from Goodrich, not Goodyear. Goodrich. It's going to make our name a lot easier to remember.
The golden lifesaver from Goodrich. We call it the Fixer.
In the beginning, we called ourselves Quality Quartz. Now, when we became Quality Inns, our name wasn't the only thing that changed. Quality Inns. Over 32,000 rooms in over 320 cities.
Gentlemen, we're about to see the final event of the forward punt pass. A nice hand for all of the winners.
I'm Patrick Ross, president of the B.F. Goodrich Tire Company. You know, no matter how tough tires look on TV, in real life, they can still go flat. No tire can stop all punctures. But we've invented a new kind of tire we call the Fixer. It's made with a unique expanding liner that's actually designed to seal most punctures in the tread up to 1/4 inch in diameter. You know, we've been telling people about radial tires since 1965, and now everybody else has finally decided to start talking about them too. But nobody's talking about a radial tire like the Fixer, the first steel radial designed to fix itself, and the most advanced radial Goodrich has ever made. Not Goodyear, Goodrich. It's going to make our name a lot easier to remember.
The golden lifesaver from Goodrich. We call it the Fixer.
Delco battery! After lots of time and lots of miles, you get to know your car. You want it to be trouble-free, no matter where you are. That's why you'll find the Delco sign everywhere you go. For easy starts and quality parts, it's the name to know. Well, the more you know. Delco! The more you want Delco. Delco. The more you know. Delco batteries. The more you want Delco.
We've expanded our facilities in CBS Control for Super Bowl VIII. We're located in a tent just outside of Rice Stadium. And here I'll be joined by my colleagues, all of whom worked NFL games during the 1973 season. We thought you might be interested in their remarks about today's game. Let's begin with the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Lindsey Nelson.
Well, sometimes the big battles are won up front, and I think that the Miami offensive line has greater incentive because of Larry Zonka running up their backs. I like Miami by about that much. Tommy Mason?
Lindsey, can the specialized talents of Miami, with Zonka inside, Morrison kick outside, overcome the overall talents of Minnesota? My heart's with Minnesota, but I like Miami. Frank Lieber, what do you think?
Well, Tommy, you know the Vikings front four gets most of the publicity, but I like the Dolphins guys in the trenches, the no-names. They're second in the league in quarterback traps this year. I think they'll give Tarkin fits. Miami. Irv Cross, what about you?
Well, Frank, Miami and Minnesota both run well-coordinated zone defenses. The Dolphins secondary is tough, but I'm picking the Vikings in an upset. Jack Buck, what do you think?
Irv, I can't go along with you, and everybody's talking about Zonka, but I think the key to this game and the Miami victory is the fact that Mercury Morris is going to be able to run outside against the outside linebackers
of Minnesota. So I'm on Don Shula's bandwagon. Pete Retzlaff, what about you?
Well, despite the zone defenses today, both teams have the talent to use that long bomb effectively, and both teams do. In that department, none better than a healthy Paul Warfield, but that is the question. I like Minnesota. Dan Kelly?
Pete, I think that even though Miami won the Super Bowl a year ago, they've had a great season this year. Some of us underestimate them still. I think they're going to win. I think they may even win very big here today against Minnesota. I know Tom Brookshire will disagree, though.
Dan, I do disagree. The Minnesota front four, the down four on defense, will be under heavy pressure, and they must stop Larry Zonka's inside running ability. I think that Alan Page must play as a Super Bowl player on Super Bowl Sunday, and I think he will. I pick Minnesota very close. How about you, Wayne Walker?
Well, Brooksy, I'll be watching the linebackers, and if young Jeff Seaman can stop Zonka up the middle, I think the Vikings will win. Timmy Brown, how about you?
Wayne, I feel that both Miami and Minnesota are pretty equal offensively and defensively. I'm looking for the special teams to play a deciding factor in this game. I played for Don Shula, and I know how much work he stresses on the special teams, so I'm going to go with Miami. How about you, Dick Stockton?
Well, Timmy, Cox and Upremian are really equal when it comes to field goal percentage, but I think Miami has the big edge in punting. Larry Seipel has averaged 10 yards more than Mike Eyeshot of the Vikings in the playoffs, so I've got to go with the Dolphins. You, John Sauer.
Well, I'll be watching this game from the viewpoint of the coaches. I don't expect any great surprises at the outset. I think both teams will probably go with what has been successful for them during the year. I think maybe Minnesota will win this game.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. That's 7-5 Miami. I'll pick Minnesota to make it 7-6, and the ball game to be just about that close. Also joining us on today's broadcast will be the man who led the Green Bay Packers to the first 2 Super Bowl victories, Bart Starr.
The CBS production crew and I thought that it might be a good idea for me to spend today reporting from the control truck, where through the use of multiple pictures provided on the surrounding monitors, we hope to give you a better idea of the overall strategy of this game. On occasion, during the telecast, we will select a couple of isolated camera shots which will help to illustrate the strategy being involved. Since, as in football, this production crew obviously goes into a telecast with a game plan. By the way, Tom Brookshire is going to join me at halftime for our final edition of NFL Playbook entitled Game Plan, which I think is a fitting climax to this great series. The strategic moves of these 2 fine football teams will provide the core of this halftime feature. Most of you people have heard about the Miami Dolphins' 53 defense, the 53 being for number 53, Bob Matheson, here rushing the passer from the outside. He is the key to this defense, and here you see him in another position, inside, dropping back to his area of pass coverage responsibility. He's all over the field and does a great job. Because the Miami Dolphins have the finest 1-2 running punch in the National Football League, their game plan strategy is rather simple. They stuff Larry Zonka down your throat, they send Mercury Morris either inside or outside, and they throw sparingly. Speaking of Larry Zonka, you're going to see him here against the Oakland Raiders a couple of weeks ago, making a great cut and going back up inside. And when this fella carries a football, he is extremely tough to bring down. You see a great tackle here by Tatum, but he still lugs him for another 5 yards. We talked about the threat of Mercury Morris. Once Zonka has softened them up inside, you have the elusiveness of this sprinter going to the outside. He's also a fine inside runner, but you see the threat of him here to the outside. Over the past several years under Coach Bud Grant, the Minnesota Vikings have employed a very basic game plan, both offensively and defensively. However, in the 2 games leading up to the Super Bowl game, they departed radically from that, as you're going to see here in a couple of razzle-dazzle plays. In this first one, notice that John Gilliam is here in the slot, and that Tarkington is sending his left halfback, Chuck Foreman, in motion. He's going to hit him on a rather simple play, but because the Cowboys don't adjust that rapidly to it, it's a very effective play, picking up 6, 7, 8 yards or so. Now notice that Gilliam is also in the slot on this play, the same position that you saw him on the previous throw to Foreman. Now watch what Tarkington does here. The Cowboys are now aware of Foreman, so Tarkington sprints out, has created single coverage on the backside, and throws the ball as far as he said he could that particular day. A beautiful post pattern to John Gilliam, which at that time was a mighty big score for the Vikings. Here's another play that caught the Dallas Cowboys a little bit by surprise because it involves a double fake. Fran just faked to his fullback. Now he fakes a reverse to Carroll Dale, and now turns and throws back to the fullback, Oscar Reed, who is all alone out in the flat. A very well-conceived play and beautifully executed. On Wednesday of this past week, Paul Warfield suffered a pulled hamstring muscle in practice, and as of right now, no one really knows how well he's going to be able to run. If he can run well, however, you can bet your life that Bob Greasy is going to go to him when he needs him, as he does here in this film a couple of weeks ago against the Oakland Raiders. This is a quick post up the middle. Greasy hits him right on the money. And once Paul Warfield catches the ball, you can see why he is such a threat. Just watch. We've only touched on a few of the individual stars and groups that are present here today. Pat Summerall will get into more later, for example, the Minnesota Viking defense. But from this position, as we mentioned to you earlier, we hope to keep you really up to date.